Hi friends, so today I am making tacos because it is Taco Tuesday, and what else do we do on Taco Tuesday? Well, actually the last couple of weeks we haven't been having tacos, which is okay, but I do have to say that I did make homemade pico, which I really enjoy. Some people, it hits their system kind of hard, so you can get indigestion or heartburn, and that's typically because there's raw garlic and the onion, but also the tomato. So it's not like the most, I don't know, I don't want to say it's not healthy, but it's not unhealthy either. That makes sense. But it's funny because most people are like, oh, it's a jalapeno, and it's really not the jalapeno. The jalapeno in the pepper family is just really there for nutrition, crunch, and spice, which spice is always good for our body. But the tomatoes can cause inflammation, so you just have to kind of be careful with it. So making tacos like this is a little difficult because I always get splattered a little bit with grease. So it's kind of precarious too. Okay, so I discovered a type of tortilla, corn tortilla, that is at Fry's. I did not get a chance to go over to the Mexican meat market, which I love because their tortillas are, what are they? They're cactus pear. Something like that. Anyways, they're really good, they're delicious, and they hold up. And I was in a hurry, so I was at Fry's. I just grabbed some corn tortillas, and I'm very sorry I did because they just fall apart. They're just not made to hold up to much of anything because apparently they're meant to stay soft or something, or they're called soft corn tortillas, and I'm like, why? I don't get it. I don't know. Anyways, it's kind of frustrating because like after all this work, it just they keep breaking apart once I lay them into the hot oil. You know what's interesting is I know like addiction to chemicals or alcohol is always typically the thing that everybody runs after to attack, but I think, it's my opinion, that there's a huge addiction in America with food. And it sucks because unlike drugs, which you don't need, like recreationally, unlike alcohol, which you don't need, food we have to have because we have to eat it. We can't survive without some form of food, whatever that ends up being. And so it's interesting that that is not on the list of addictions yet. I think it's going to get there, I hope, especially sugar, of course. Red food dye is another thing that usually comes to people's minds. And then, you know, people start breaking things down like sodas, chips, processed food, stuff like that. And so I think that that's going to help heal the country if we're looking at making America better. But it just kind of makes me sad that, you know, there's not more emphasis on food. So the big debate about whether or not addiction happens because there's a chemical imbalance, or it's habit, or it's atmosphere, you know, like how did you grow up, your environment, you know, things like that. And I'm hoping that people really look at food and addiction itself to see how to help, especially kids, because so many people, adults, kids, doesn't matter, when we get bored, we decide to get munchy and we start eating on stuff, right? Well, that too is like an addiction, right? And then our food is filled with chemicals that help us to not feel full, to feel more hungry, to make us feel thirsty. I mean, there's a reason in bars that they have fast food. You know, the more you're thirsty, the more you're munching, the more you want to drink. So it's this weird cycle, but I hope that we do look more into food so that we're able to help the kids to not be so dependent on it. The idea of snacks drives me nuts. It's like, why do kids need a snack? Like, unless they just ran a marathon. They don't need to be snacking. They don't come home from school and be like, oh, I'm so hungry. It's like, well, be hungry. It's okay. Then you'll eat your dinner. Ugh, these tortillas suck. They're so rippy. Let me see if I can find what kind of tortilla it is. Okay, did I go into my garbage to look? Absolutely, yes I did. This is how much I care about you having a good taco experience and not a crappy one like I am. So this one is yellow corn tortillas. Oh, this doesn't say soft. Usually they say soft and I avoid that, so I must have selected these because I'm like, I don't want them to be soft corn tortillas. Which makes me wonder what makes them soft. I don't know. Anyways, La Bentirito. So, I don't know. I could just be a really sucky cook. That is really a realistic thing. Because a lot of times I get to hurrying and then I just mess it up. So one of my worst things about cooking, which I don't like about cooking, or that I don't like cooking. Let me just say that. I don't like cooking. One of the reasons why is because typically I get the oil too hot or not hot enough. And then you get that sweet window of when your cooking is great, like everything's frying fast or quickly, or it's cooking in a rhythm. I do have fry bread down. I have to say that I do have fry bread down, so you know, typically for me to burn that is not going to happen. But I have burned many a taco before. Is I just get in a hurry or I overstuff my pan because I'm like, there's another one that can fit, you know. So I'm not a good French fry maker, although I have done it before. And I've made my own tortilla chips. That was such a drag. I'm like, no, I'd rather go spend the $2. You can go get a big bag at a Mexican meat market and have no chaos at home. So the good news is that I went ahead and made beef homemade tacos with homemade pico de gallo. I'm going to enjoy this, and here's the bad news, by myself. Because Donnie just texted me to say that he has band practice tonight instead of Thursday night. And so now here I am making homemade food, which really aggravates me. And this is another reason why I do not like cooking, because I'm putting in all this effort. If it was just me and I didn't have to eat today, because typically Tuesdays Donnie and I do eat together, or at least I make us both food because he is not at band practice, then I was going to eat a tuna salad on my very special sourdough crackers I found that has no seed oils, with some pickles. Like, it was going to be a great day. But that's not going to happen because now I've made tacos and an abundance. So I'll have to tell my son that if he wants a couple tacos, swing on by after work, grab some, take them, whatever. Donnie does not eat after band practice because he is out till 10:30. And I told him no. Because I love him and I don't want him to continue to get chubby, because he definitely will do whatever I want, but we can't eat late. It's just the big rule that we have to follow. So I've gotten splattered a couple times, but I'm not going to hold that against Taco Tuesday. Okay, so I only have 5 more left. I know it sounds like there's a ton, and there's really not. I think I may have made 12 altogether. Some of them are a little dark because I was also talking to you guys, but that's okay, because thankfully, if we don't end up eating them tonight, then I just put them in a little Ziploc bag, and Donnie will eat them in the morning with his eggs for breakfast, so he never complains about anything. The only complaint I've ever had from him, and I had it too though, was when I decided to become spontaneous, and I made carnivore pizza. Carnivore pizza, the one I made was when you take ground chicken, an egg, you know, season that up, spread it out really flat on a pan, so it sounds great, right? Put it in the oven for a little bit, bring it back out, top it with all your stuff, put it back in the oven, bring it back out. It was not good. It was so not good that I don't think either one of us finished our little piece. And Smokey was gifted it, so it's a good thing we have a pit bull because he will eat what we won't. But I do have another recipe for sausage. So you take, and I'm not a big pork person, but I think the fat in the sausage is what's going to make this like over the top. So you do basically the same thing. One thing I forgot to mention was that you do put in Parmesan cheese, so that kind of binds it together with the egg. So you mix that all up and you do the same thing, you spread it out. And I did get some Italian sausage. Italian sausage is what I think it's called. And again, you're going to spread it out and then put your toppings on after you've cooked it a little bit. But I think the fat in the sausage is what's going to make it really go over the top. But we'll see. I'll have to make it and let you know.